Steve Kraft. You're on with Kinsey Schofield on Fox 10 News Now. You're live at the Bernie Sanders event. Tell us what you're seeing.
Maybe I should flip this thing around and show you. There are a lot of people here. We were told there would be a lot of people here, and it's true. You want to see?
I would love to, yeah. And it looks like a lot of young people.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the Sanders crowd. Want to meet them?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Here's some people waving.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you. There's still a lot of people streaming in, and this is the biggest facility in the Phoenix Convention Center. They can seat about 12,000 people in here.
Oh wow!
What
really?
Yeah. It's about 3 times the size of Donald Trump's North Ballroom.
Oh.
Which is now called the Trump Ballroom.
No, and why did he move there?
Now I'm walking.
Because he was originally scheduled to be somewhere else, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was going to be right across the street from Channel 10 at Comerica Theater, but it was not big enough.
Oh.
Anyway, that's where he's going to be talking, and it's not very fancy, just kind of his name, and that's about it. But look at this. There are a lot of people here, I have to say.
I know, I'm surprised. It does look like a lot more people are there than there were for Trump, actually.
Yeah, I'd say you're right. There could be, and it's such guesswork, there could be 8,000 to 10,000 people here before all is said and done. I'd say there's probably at least 5,000 here so far, and I'm going to show you sort of the distance. It's like a steady stream of people.
I know.
They may fill this room. Our FaceTime with Kinsey Schofield.
Yeah. Although I am glad that we now have this now on News Now, where we can actually FaceTime with our reporters in the field.
This really brings it up close, so everybody can really, everyone who's watching the stream can really get a feel of it.
We're just talking to a reporter live in the field before the event starts, but this is going to be the actual feed you look at 7 p.m. But right now
we have a couple cameras here.
Yeah, you do. There you go. Have you spoken to anybody? Have you asked them, what their thoughts are on Bernie coming to the Valley?
No. We thought about that, but then we thought maybe it'd be better to let Bernie talk first and then get people's reaction. Because we know that they're interested in his message, and we know what his message is. But I want to hear what he has to say tonight and then ask people their immediate response. And I think we're going to get a range of responses, actually. There are people who really think that the Democrats need to move to the left, need to address income inequality and why people aren't making better money for working as much as we work. And I think that's one of his driving issues. And I think he's going to be addressing some of those things. We'll see if they resonate with people. To answer your question about who's in the crowd, it's a diverse crowd, which is typical of Democratic crowds across many different groups of ethnic groups and everything. I would also say there are plenty of younger people here, but as you look around, not exclusively by any means. There's plenty of folks who are, I've seen a lot of senior citizens here, quite honestly.
And what do the signs say? I see a lot of signs in the audience.
Let me see. Let me walk up to one right now. Here's one that says veteran. Oh, here's one that says overturn Citizens United. See that sign?
Yeah.
Citizens United was a Supreme Court decision that allowed unlimited money into campaigns, and it's highly unpopular with Democrats, and especially with Bernie Sanders Democrats. Bernie Sanders lives on small donations. He doesn't get big money from anywhere, and his supporters are really against that Supreme Court decision that allowed unlimited, untrackable money into politics in America. Here's all the media, kind of in the middle. We're like on an island to metal detectors. I will tell you that for the media, they had a full security sweep in which they locked down the room, locked down the ballroom. All of us had to leave, and they swept it just like they do for the president. So there was pretty serious security. I haven't seen anything like that for this event at all.
Well, it does look like it's a packed house, and we are expecting to see Bernie Sanders speak at 7 p.m. But
A lot
yeah,
of blue and white Bernie placards, Bernie shirts, Bernie buttons, Bernie stickers.
they are very passionate. You didn't.
So
I don't. I think.
let's meet some of the folks.
Oh, all
How
right.
about that?
Let's do it.
Can you guys tell us why you're here today? You're, you're here to support Bernie. What is it about Bernie Sanders that you like? Bernie, I'm translating it for the folks at home who might not be able to hear it. Kinsey, can you catch all this?
I'm not hearing a ton of it. I would say.
Bernie's going to get the money out of politics. Bernie's going to get the money out of politics. That's what I'm hearing.
That's.
Get the corporations out. Thank you very much. Yeah, a lot of people feel that way who are at this particular event.
I know.
They really don't like big money in politics.
All right, well, Steve, I will let you go to position yourself. I will let you go to position yourself. I'm seeing a lot of movement and action in the crowd on our larger feed, so I'm going to transition to our larger feed, but back on FaceTime, and I will put you up, and we'll converse if it's before 7, perhaps after 7,
right,
after his speech.
I'll be sending out a continuous Twitter feed so folks can compare what they're hearing to how I'm interpreting it.
I love it.
NETROOTS Nation. It's meeting in Phoenix starting today and stretching into Sunday at the Phoenix Convention Center. Huge get-together of liberals and progressives. It is their 10th annual meeting, and the talk is all about Bernie Sanders running against Hillary Clinton on the Democratic side for President of the United States. Our Steve Kraft joins us live from the Convention Center. Steve.
Well, guys, let's take a look at NETROOTS Nation. The crowd is growing here at the Phoenix Convention Center. There's all kinds of workshops and panels, lots of meetings, many, many different groups represented, all of them with a liberal message.
NETROOTS is a combination of internet and grassroots. So it's a mix of blogs, well-known liberal websites, Democratic activists, and progressives from across the country. There's a strong focus on making life better for working and middle-class people.
It's talking about those issues that really impact people's pocketbooks. You know, people want to feel that there's action on student debt, that people are protecting and expanding Social Security. Those issues that really impact working families' lives.
One thing people at NETROOTS have been talking about is Donald Trump at or near the top in recent Republican presidential polls.
I think it says something about us if he's polling in the top, 1 or 2 slot in the Republican Party.
What does it say?
Well, it says that we're not really paying attention to the issues.
But if there's widespread bemusement when it comes to Donald Trump, there's widespread admiration for Bernie Sanders, the Democratic Socialist senator from Vermont, who's attracting more and more support in his race against Hillary Clinton for the Democratic nomination. Sanders' bumper stickers are a hit.
The stickers that I expect to sell the best here at NETROOTS are the Bernie Sanders stickers. This is a progressive-oriented event, and people like Bernie Sanders.
Now, Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, very popular senator, she's going to be speaking here tomorrow. And Bernie Sanders will be speaking at a rally at the same location, the Convention Center, Saturday night. Doors open at 6 p.m. He starts talking at 7. He's attracted as many as 10,000 people to some of his rallies, and we're expecting another really large crowd here over the weekend. Reporting live from the Phoenix Convention Center, Steve Kraft, Fox 10 News.
And we do have limitations on what music we can play, since we are bringing you this live stream of the Bernie Sanders event. I will bring up the microphone when the speakers begin, but while they're playing mainstream music, I am limited as to what I am capable of playing for you. If you'd like to see some different angles of the event happening right now, Steve Kraft on our Twitter page has got some photos for you of different perspectives, but we are limited copyright-wise on what we can play for you. So that is why the volume is turned down prior to the speakers taking the stage. If you're having trouble with the stream, go ahead and refresh. We often utilize YouTube for our live shows, and typically a good old refresh will get your feedback and going. We are just a few minutes away from Bernie Sanders taking the stage here in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm seeing Vermont, I'm seeing Nebraska, people from all over the country watching Bernie Sanders here on Fox 10 Phoenix. We're glad to have you. We're excited to have Bernie Sanders. And it's always exciting to know that we could be potentially looking at the next president of the United States throughout this campaign process.
For the website, everybody look excited. Thanks, guys.
We're looking at 4 minutes until Bernie Sanders is expected to take the stage. And the copyrighted music begins. I just received a tweet from Carl telling me he's watching Bernie from Colorado. Thank you so much for watching, Carl. It does look like you are all from all over the country, so we're grateful to have you here tonight. And no, we do this show. It's Fox 10 News Now, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. And I'm sure we'll be giving you plenty of special weekend shows as the campaign trails of these numerous potential presidential candidates continue to visit Phoenix, Arizona. And Rami wants me to correct myself. All over the world. I did see Japan. That's true. And if you're on Twitter and Facebook and would like to share your enthusiasm for Bernie Sanders, please tweet a link out to your friends and tell them to watch Bernie right here. We're just a few minutes away. You can copy our YouTube link and tell them that they can watch Bernie here, or head over to fox10phoenix.com where they can watch Bernie Sanders' event right now. So tell your friends on social media so that they can be as enthusiastic about Bernie Sanders as you are. I was trying to connect to our reporter on the scene, Steve Kraft, to get you live visuals of the crowd, but unfortunately I'm having trouble connecting my FaceTime to the system. But Bernie Sanders is moments away. They announced he's almost there. Steve did tell us he would tweet out some pictures since I couldn't connect the FaceTime to our system. So S Craft Fox 10 in case you are curious, but it does seem like we are just moments away from Bernie. Sean asks in the chat room if I'm feeling the burn. And we are waiting for Bernie Sanders to appear or another speaker. We have limitations on what we can play because this is streamed on YouTube. So we are unable to play certain songs, especially if they're top 40 or the artist can go after us. So the volume will go up. The event volume sounds great. We heard it a few minutes before, but the volume will go up when a speaker takes the stage. I'm unable to show the crowd. Let me pull up some photos for you that have been taken just in the last few minutes by Steve Kraft. This is an amazing picture that'll give you an idea of the crowd. And this was just taken about a minute ago from Steve Kraft here, that he's right there in the audience. This is the larger photo he took. Unbelievable. But it does look like it's a packed room, body to body, standing room only, except if you're on that stage. I keep being asked how many people are there. I can't count that. That is an unreal number. And that's just not even the entire crowd. You can see the crowd goes beyond here, the left and the right of the screen. So we are surprised in a pleasant way, because we heard some very interesting numbers last weekend in regards to Trump that the fire department didn't really agree with. So this does look like, I don't know how many people, but an unbelievable amount of individuals that are in this room. They are feeling the burn. Hashtag feel the burn if you'd like to see what they're saying within Twitter or Instagram. And then Fox 10 is using hashtag BernieInAZ. And about 10 hours ago, I don't know if it's too late to do this, but about 10 hours ago, Bernie did tweet from his account, which I'm sure you all follow. Got questions for our town hall at NETROOTS Nation. Tweet them using the hashtag NN15townhall. So if you are looking to ask Bernie Sanders questions from wherever you are while watching this live stream, you can do that using the hashtag and Twitter NN. And again, if you're wanting to participate in this town hall, you can on Twitter and Instagram and all those fun hashtagable places by using the hashtag NN15townhall, hashtag NN15townhall, and you can ask Bernie your question from wherever you are in the world. Just so you know, we do have to keep the volume down when they're playing mainstream music because of copyright issues. But you can participate in our own town hall here in Phoenix by using hashtag NN15townhall. And to see some of the participants that are at this event, you can use the hashtag FeelTheBurn, BERN.
West Phoenix! I'm Yolanda Bejarano, and it gives me a great deal of pleasure to introduce to you someone who, in my estimation, is an American hero. U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders has for over 30 years been the nation's most persistent voice defending the interests of the working class and standing up to corporate greed. No one in the nation over the past 30 years has focused more attention on the critically important yet rarely discussed issue of the growing gap between the rich and everyone else in the U.S. than Bernie Sanders. We need Bernie Sanders now more than ever. Whether you want to get big money out of politics, combat climate change, make college affordable, stop mass incarceration, or fight for real comprehensive immigration reform, Bernie speaks for all of us. We need someone who is not afraid to take on Wall Street and the billionaires. We need someone who is not for sale. Everyone here tonight represents this big coalition that is being built, that must be built in order to turn our country around. There must be a real grassroots movement across the country to bring about the change we want. And this, tonight, Phoenix, is just the beginning. Bernie Sanders has worked tirelessly in his 24-year tenure in Congress on issues that affect the needs of the people, that government, an America that works for us, and not just for the corporations and the 1%. It is a great honor to introduce a man who dedicates his every waking hour to standing up for working people and the middle class. Ladies and gentlemen, the next President of the United States of America, U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders!
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know, we have had large turnouts in Wisconsin, in Colorado. This is the largest turnout. Thank you. There are a lot of people here, a lot of people. And you know, When we were coming to Arizona, somebody said Arizona is a conservative state. What were they talking about? Somebody told me that people are giving up on the political process, not what I see here tonight. Thank you all so much. I cannot believe this crowd, and I just want to thank you so much for coming out. Your presence, your incredible presence here tonight gives me hope and gives people all over this country hope that when we stand together, when we come together in meetings like this, there is nothing that we cannot accomplish in transforming America. And I want to thank Yolanda for that wonderful introduction. She's a member of the CWA, and I thank the CWA and the trade union movement in this country. What this campaign is about is pretty simple. What this campaign is about is saying that our great country and issues facing our country and determine how we can go forward so that government represents all of us and addresses the serious problems that we face. And the first issue that I want to put on the table is the issue of income and wealth inequality. Today, we live in a nation which has more income and more wealth inequality than any other major country on earth. That is not acceptable, and together we are going to change that. If you think about it for a moment, you recognize that the issue of income and wealth inequality is a moral issue. Are we content? And I didn't even finish the sentence. Are we content to seeing a proliferation of millionaires and billionaires when we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of any major country on earth? It is a moral issue, but it is an economic issue as well, because our economy cannot do well when so few have so much and so many have so little. My Republican friends think that the CEOs of large corporations, and that is why I believe that what our economics should be about is putting money into the hands of working people and not the billionaires. Brothers and sisters, there is something profoundly wrong when the top 1/10 of 1% own almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. There is something profoundly wrong when in the last several years, 58% of all new income created has gone to the top 1%. There is something profoundly wrong when one family, the owners of Walmart, own more wealth than the bottom 40% of the American people. This grotesque level of income and wealth inequality is bad economics, it is unsustainable, and it is not what the United States of America is supposed to be about. And we have a message tonight to the billionaire class. And that message is, you cannot have it all. You cannot get huge tax breaks when children in Vermont and Arizona go hungry. You cannot continue to ship our jobs to China when millions of Americans need work here. You cannot hide your profits, your billions in profits in the Cayman Islands and other tax havens when we have unmet needs in America that must be addressed. And what we are saying to the billionaire class is their greed has got to end, and we are going to end it for them. But it is not just the grotesque and embarrassing level of income and wealth inequality. When we talk about what's going on in America today, we have got to recognize the tragic reality that for the last 40 years, not 10 years, not 20, but for the last 40 years, the great middle class of this country, once the envy of the entire world, that middle class has been disappearing. And I want you to think about this. All of you know that we have seen in recent years an explosion of technology and worker productivity. And yet, despite that, median family income today is almost $5,000 less than it was in 1999. All over America, all over our great country, people are working not just one job, not just two jobs, they're working 3 jobs, 4 jobs to cobble together some income and some health care. This economy can do and must do better than that. And let me say a word about unemployment. Once a month, you read the official unemployment results coming from the government, and they tell you that official unemployment is 5.3%. But what they don't tell you is if you look at another government statistic, which includes those people who have given up looking for work and those people who are working part-time. You know anybody working part-time when they want to work full-time? When you add all of that together, real unemployment is 10.5%. And let me tell you something else that we almost never discuss, and that is the tragedy of youth unemployment in this country. A recent study came out looking at kids who graduated high school, and this is what it said. If those kids were white, their real unemployment rate was 33%. If they were Hispanic, their unemployment rate was 36%. If they were African American, their unemployment rate was 51%. And let me tell you something else. In America today, we have more people in jail than any other country on earth. That's right. And one of the reasons, aside from a broken criminal justice system, one of the reasons that we have so many people in jail is that we have 5.5 million kids hanging out on street corners with no jobs and no education. And it seems to me to make a lot more sense to invest in education and jobs for our kids rather than in jail and incarceration. I want our country to have the best educated people, more people going to college than any other country, not more people in jail than any other country. Not earning the money they need to feed their families or put a few bucks in the bank. In Washington, the federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. Brothers and sisters, $7.25 is a starvation wage. We have got to raise the minimum wage to a living wage, $15 an hour. I don't think it is a radical idea to say that if somebody works 40 hours a week, that person should not be living in poverty. That's what America should be. And when we talk about fair wages, we also have to understand that it is unacceptable that women today make 78 cents on the dollar compared to men. Brothers, we have got to stand with our sisters and fight for pay equity for women workers. Now, as many of you know, a lot of my Republican colleagues you know what they stand for. Well, let me tell you what they stand for. Some of what they stand for. What our Republican colleagues talk about are family values. You ever hear them talk about family values? And this is what they mean by family values. They mean that a woman should not be able and have the right to control her own body. I disagree. They believe that women, if you can believe this, should not be able to purchase the contraceptives they want. And they believe that our gay brothers and sisters should not have the right to marry. Those are their family values. Those are not our family values. But let me tell you what I think family values should be: real family values that support families, that enable love to exist and care to exist in families. First, we have got to end the international embarrassment of the United States being the only major country on earth which does not guarantee to get to love that baby, to get to know that baby in perhaps one of the most important moments in a family's life. But if that woman does not have adequate income, she will be forced to go back to work in 3 days, 5 days, 7 days. That is not a family value. That is exactly the opposite of what a family value is. That is why I will fight for and bring about 12 weeks of paid family and medical leave. All over this country. That's right. All over this country, we have working people who, when they get sick, they go to work. And they go to work because they have no guaranteed sick time. It's time to end that and provide guaranteed paid sick time for every worker in America. You know, I think we all heard a few weeks ago that Jeb Bush thinks that the American people need to work a little bit harder. Well, he obviously didn't hear the sad reality that the American people already work the longest hours of any major country on earth. Our people do not need to work longer hours. They need higher wages and better income. Now, when we talk about the crises facing our country, when pollsters ask people, what's on your mind? What do you think is most important? What people invariably say is jobs. We need more jobs. Well, in my view, when we have over 30% youth unemployment, 10.5% unemployment in general, when our infrastructure, our roads, bridges, water systems, rail are crumbling, we can and should put millions of people back to work rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure. I have introduced legislation that would put $1 trillion into our roads and bridges, which would create up to 13 million jobs. And that is exactly what we have to do. Think of it, America. We're all over this country. Our people are rebuilding our roads, our bridges. Our rail system is now far behind many other countries. Let's have the best rail system in the world. Let's put our people to work doing that. And when we talk about creating jobs, we also have to talk about stopping the loss of jobs because of our disastrous trade policies. You are looking at a senator who voted against NAFTA, against CAFTA, against permanent normal trade relations with China, and is leading the opposition to this disastrous trade TPP trade agreement. We need trade policies which create jobs in America. We need corporate America to start investing in America and not just countries all over the world. Now, when we talk about what's going on in this country, when we talk about greed, when we talk about recklessness, when we talk about illegal behavior, these are just some of the words that we use to describe Wall Street. Today, the largest 6 financial institutions in this country have assets of some $10 trillion, equivalent to 60% of the GDP of America. After we bailed them out because they were too big to fail, most of them are now a lot bigger than they were before we bailed them out. In my view, if a financial institution is too big to fail, it is too big to exist. And that is why I have introduced legislation to break these huge financial institutions up. Now, I want to talk very briefly about an issue which in many ways may be more important than any other. And that is that as a result of the disastrous Supreme Court decision in the Citizens United case, the American political system has been totally corrupted, and the foundations of American democracy are being undermined. What the Supreme Court said to the wealthiest people in our country, they said, okay, guys, you already own much of the economy. We're now going to give you the opportunity to own the United States government, and that is what they are trying to do. In this campaign, the Koch brothers alone, the second wealthiest family in America, will be spending almost $1 billion in this campaign cycle. That is more money than either the Democratic or Republican parties are spending. When one family spends more money than either of the two major political parties, that is not democracy, that is oligarchy. And that is why we have got to overturn Citizens United. And why we need public funding of elections. I see a lot of young people here today. And I want our young people to be able to run for office if they want to and not have to beg money from the rich and the powerful to do that. And now that we have a lot of young people here, let me mention another issue of importance to our youth. Right now, all of you know that we live as a nation in a highly competitive global economy. And if we are going to succeed into the future, we need the best educated workforce in the world. At this moment, if you can believe it, this is how crazy it is. There are hundreds of thousands of bright, hardworking, qualified young people who are unable to get a college education, not because they don't have the ability, but because their family doesn't have the money. So think for a moment what it means to some kid, some low-income kid, some working-class kid who wants to make it into the middle class but can't go to college because his family lacks the funds. That's wrong. And that is why I have introduced legislation and will fight for as president to make every public college and university in America tuition free. And I want you to think for a moment, what free public college and free public university will mean. What it will mean is not only helping kids who are seniors or juniors in high school, what it will tell kids in the 4th grade, in the 6th grade, here in Phoenix or in Burlington, Vermont, that no matter how poor you may be, if you study hard, you do well in school, you can in fact get all the education you need. And the other higher education issue that we have got to deal with is the absurdity of millions of Americans, some young and some not so young, who are carrying outrageous student debt. I mean, I'm talking not just $50,000, not $100,000. I talked to a young woman, graduated dental school, $400,000 in debt. What my legislation would do is end the absurdity of people with student debt paying 8, 9, 10% interest rates. If you can refinance your home at 2 or 3%, you shouldn't be paying 10% on your student debt. And we have also got to get the U.S. government out of the business of profiteering on student debt. There is another issue that is of such great importance that Pope Francis, in a recent encyclical, focused on it. And by the way, God bless Pope Francis. He has done it. You know, I think sometimes people think my economic views are radical. You should hear what this guy is saying. When he talks about money being a god of modern civilization, people worshiping money rather than their brothers and their sisters. But what he wrote about in his recent encyclical is what virtually the entire scientific community is telling us. And that is that we have a moral obligation as adults and parents to leave this planet to our kids and grandchildren in a habitable way. Climate change is real. Climate change is caused by human activity. Climate change is already causing devastating problems in our country and all over the world. We must lead the world in an extremely aggressive way in breaking our dependence on fossil fuels, in moving. And in moving to wind, solar, geothermal, and other sustainable energies. And here's what the scientists tell us. They say if we do not do that, by the end of this century, this planet will be between 5 and 10 degrees Fahrenheit warmer. And what that will mean is more droughts, more flooding, more extreme weather disturbances, more acidification of the ocean, more international conflict as countries fight for scarcer natural resources. We have the moral obligation to lead the world in transforming our energy system. And when we talk about rights, and when we talk about how the United States, in many respects, lags behind other countries, there is no issue in which that is clearer than the issue of health care. Today, the United States of America is the only major country on earth that does not guarantee health care to all people as a right. And together, you and I are going to end that embarrassment, because we are going to pass a Medicare for all single-payer program. We can do it. We can do it. Health care must be seen as a right, not a privilege. What we have also got to do as we transform America is to understand a very simple point. And I am the only candidate for president who will tell you this, but it is the truth. And that is, no president, none, no matter how good he or she may be, can bring about the changes that we need, desperately need, in this country unless there is a political revolution. And what that political revolution means is that people all over America have got to stand up and become involved in the political process in a way we have never done before. We have got to also, as part of that revolution, have real debate on real issues, which is what I'm trying to do tonight. And I want you to do me a favor. I want you to talk, go out of your zone of comfort. I want you to talk to your Republican friends and family members. Now, here's the point. Here's the point. Here's the point. It is one thing for the billionaire class to be voting Republican, but there are many Republicans out there, and you know them. These people are working at 2 or 3 jobs. They have no health care. Their kids can't afford to go to college, and yet they're voting against people who are fighting against their best interest every single day. Ask your Republican friends why they vote for folks who want tax breaks for billionaires, and yet they want to cut Social Security and Medicare. Ask them why they're voting for people who are going to throw them out onto the street, shut down their factories, and move their plants abroad. So what we need to do is to create a political movement which brings our people together. What Republicans are very good at is not talking about what they really believe. You have never seen an ad on TV which says, vote for me so I can cut your Social Security and give a tax break to billionaires. But that is exactly what they are trying to do. Now, how do they get away with this stuff? I will tell you how. They divide us up by race, by country of origin, by sexual orientation, by gender. They say to whites, worry about blacks. They say to native-born Americans, worry about immigrants. They say to men, worry about women. Our job is not to divide. Our job is to bring people together. And when we talk about bringing one nation together, we have got to understand that today in America, there are 11 million people living in the shadows. People who are afraid that they could be deported tomorrow. That is wrong. We need comprehensive immigration reform. We need a path towards citizenship for undocumented people. We need not to be dividing families. We need to be uniting families and keeping them together. Now, in our country, there is a lot that we should be proud of. We have made significant progress in recent years in breaking down many barriers of discrimination. If we were sitting here, or in your case, standing here, 30 years ago, and somebody said, you know, I have a crazy idea. I think that maybe in 2008, the United States will have overcome its racist history and elect an African American to be president. People would have said, that's crazy. That won't happen. It happened because we overcame a lot of racism. But let us be very clear. While we have overcome a lot of racism, we have come a long way, we still have a long way to go. It is not acceptable to me, and I know to you, that an African American baby, a male baby born today, if we do not change things, stands a 1 in 4 chance of being in prison during his life. It is not acceptable to me that we have seen young black men walk down streets in this country, be beaten and be killed unjustly. That is not acceptable. Most police officers, I was a mayor for 8 years, and I worked with the police department. It's a tough job. Most cops do it well. But when a police officer breaks the law, that officer must be held accountable. Let me conclude by saying this. I want you all to think big, not think small. I want you to all appreciate that you are living in the wealthiest country today in the history of the world. The wealthiest country. But nobody knows it because all of the wealth rests in the hands of the few. So what we need to do is to have a vision which says that wealth and income become spread out in a way that is fair. What we need to do is to have a vision that says that every person in this country is entitled to health care as a right. that when a mom or a dad goes to work, he or she knows that their kid in a child care center or pre-K will get the best quality care available. I am the former chairman of the Senate Veterans Committee. And I will tell you that in this country, we have a moral obligation to make sure that every veteran, every man and woman who put their lives on the line to defend this country gets the health care and the benefits they need. We are not going to defend, we're not going to turn our backs on our veterans. We are going to be a nation, and we are going to create a nation where everyone, no matter their race, their religion, their disability, or their sexual orientation, realizes the full potential of equality that is the birthright of Americans. Several years ago, I attended a meeting in northern Vermont which was honoring veterans who fought in World War II. And at the beginning of that meeting, somebody played a tape, a videotape, looking at Franklin Delano Roosevelt on December 8th, 1941. And that was the day after Pearl Harbor. And what Roosevelt was doing that day was declaring war against Japan, and soon he would declare war against Hitler and Germany. On that day, the United States was unprepared to fight one war, let alone two wars. But in 2.5 years, because this country focused on creating the best military in the world, producing the tanks and the planes and the guns we needed, we won that war in 2.5 years. So I don't want anybody to tell me that this country, when we put our minds to it, cannot guarantee health care to all. Don't tell me we can't lead the world in combating climate change or have the best infrastructure in the world. Don't tell me, because I don't believe it, that we can't create a system where all of our kids get a great education. But none of this comes easy. Frederick Douglass, the great abolitionist, told us that freedom does not come without struggle. I need you, because this is not about me, it's about us. We need to stand together to make that political revolution where we create an America and a government that works for all of us. We can do it when we stand up. We can do it when we stand up and say, enough is enough. The billionaires are not going to have it all. It's our country. Let's create that nation. Thank you all very much.
And that's going to be the end of our Bernie Sanders in Phoenix event. You can catch more coverage of this on our 9 and 10 o'clock broadcast here on Fox 10. If you are not local, you can watch that nationally or internationally by going to fox10phoenix.com. We'll have updates from Steve Kraft, who is our man in the field out there right now. You can also watch this full video uninterrupted. We will be uploading that to our YouTube channel. You can watch Fox 10 News Now Monday through Friday. That starts at 10 a.m. and it ends at 9 p.m. And you will get plenty more Bernie Sanders as well as additional political conversation throughout Fox 10 News Now. But it does look like we've just lost our feed. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you again here on Fox 10 News Now. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And download our app. It's free.